Oh, Purple, nice to see you on a Monday.
Nice to see you three in here as well, guys.
Yes. Now, where are we starting? I get the feeling you might want to shuffle the order around.
Yeah, I've been trying to be positive all year, but you've got to go where the stories are, Jim, and you know that.
You're a
journo once upon a time.
Great at journalist.
Yeah, you avoided the stories, though, when they were in front of you. And you've told those stories.
I did. Yep.
Yeah, but some of us sort of go where they are, Jim. Look, it is quite shocking in that use of the word, Bill, what is happening to the Sydney Swans.
What's happened?
Well, as we now
Look at
know...
their last. Look at that. Lost by 1, lost by 2. They won by 79, then lost by 2, lost by 39, and then lost... I thought there was a malfunction in the... I thought it was one of your televisions that you'd sold to Broken Hill up there when I looked up. It was 92-7 or something. I thought, no.
Yeah. It was 71-0 at one stage. And
yeah,
look, that rattle of scores you just went through, Bill, Fremantle, St Kilda and Brisbane, they were losing those games by a total of 5 points. And I don't think anyone thought there was any issue there. I thought that Brisbane's Sydney Swans game was the best game of the home and away season. And they just fell short. It was a game in which they lost Rampy and Papley in play, and Haywood could barely walk. So I came out of that thinking, well, that's as good as a win for them. Then the warning sirens went out after the Western Bulldogs game the week after, 39 points, and then this one just gone 112. You don't lose matches by that nature.
Not if you're on top of the ladder.
No, and just before we go any further with this chat and where it takes the Swans and what it means, let's just listen to the coach, John Longmire, because he doesn't speak this way about his players ever.
First of all, it's completely and utterly unacceptable. It's just not up to standard, and we've been in every game this year until last week, and we dropped away last week, and today just didn't seem like it had a baseline to it at all in any area, and we just didn't come to compete, and that's the very essence of the game. If you don't come to compete and fight, you get shown up no matter who you play. And we've played 3 good teams the last 3 weeks in good form, but you need to have a baseline, and we didn't have that tonight.
He doesn't know what to say, really.
No, he didn't. He was out of answers, didn't he?
Bamboozled.
What would you say?
Yeah.
112 points.
I'd love to know what he said. Closed doors.
Yeah. And now
would he have a crack at some of those midfielders?
Oh, you'd have to, because they were just listless, weren't they? And we've celebrated these guys all year. I mean, you were saying how far the Brownlow, Heaney, I was saying how far Warner. They haven't had a kick for a couple of weeks, and there's other problems there. Losing Rampy and Papley in that game, as I just referred to, against Brisbane 3 weeks ago,
Everyone's
it was
had
clearly
injuries.
a problem. Yeah, I agree, Bill. I agree.
Bottom's also very
Bottom,
important.
he came back in and is now injured again. So there's a problem there. So they've lost all their spark. So we'll move off the Swans. They've got the game against Collingwood on Friday night.
There's some great games again this weekend.
There are. But that's going to let us know, because you just have to respond to that, don't you?
Yeah.
And look, one way of looking at it positively, they're still top of ladder, which is hard to believe. Fremantle missed a massive opportunity. You called it yesterday, Jim, for Channel 7, but they would have been third had they won, and did enough to win until it absolutely counted. And while they'll go back in the bigger picture and think, well, okay, we're okay at the MCG, we stood up in the big moments, it's an opportunity lost in a season which is wide open.
You know what I found amazing from the commentary box? Obviously, you're sitting straight above the interchange. I think they had something like 7 or 8 clearances in a row from the 10-minute mark of the last quarter onwards, Essendon. And I know Longmuir has mentioned his midfield again, but I'm sitting above the interchange bench, and Brayshaw and Sarong were sitting on there for 6 of those minutes together. Yeah. They're 2 most important midfield clearance players. Yeah. How do you do that? Well, it's just one of them had to be on the ground.
Yeah, it's where, as Andrew Demetrio used to call them, the phys editors, just getting their way over the actual, I suppose, machinations of game day. And it doesn't matter if they're redlining, I reckon, in those moments. You just got to get them out there.
Well, but also, manage it so that one of the 2 of them is on the ground at all times. I mean, it was just it was beyond belief to me. Yeah. And they got owned in that period of time.
Yeah, and we'll touch on the positives out of Essendon.
He put the heat on them, you're right.
Yeah.
On the midfielders, he did that about 6 weeks ago. That's strange, that.
Yeah, and look, Hayden Young really played well, didn't he, when they helped set it up. Yeah, but he drifted out. Yep. So, again, opportunity lost, as it was for Hawthorn Footy Club. Now, again, we've sung their praises all season since that 0-5 start, and we've loved what they've done, but they're going to reflect on that last quarter against GWS. Now, it's not the first time GWS has got a team, and again, we'll talk about them in the positives after the break, Bill, but to lose that game 28 points up when they had done enough to win and then had done enough to finish the round on equal points to the 8th place team, they just obviously missed that opportunity, lose the game by a kick. And when you then throw in that Port Adelaide loss of 6 weeks ago too, it's going to become a problem for them because they now need to obviously win out and then rely on others to also lose. Carlton, talk about the opportunities lost, Bill. How can you go from second on the ladder only 4 weeks ago to hanging on to 8th spot now by percentage only?
Well, I'll tell you how
after they lost to Collingwood.
You can do that when you lose 3 of the last 4.
Yeah.
That doesn't help, does
4
it?
of the last 5, actually. And the only one they won was against North.
Against
4
North.
of the last 5, you're right.
Yep, and they've got another massive game coming Sunday against Hawthorn, which will again shape that part of the ladder. But apart from Cripps, there's just I don't feel there's anyone doing what they were doing this time last year when they were surging toward the finals and then moved their way through those first 2 weeks.
What's wrong with my
finals.
mate, bloody the good midfielder?
Walsh?
Walsh,
yeah,
Walshy.
it's just not having the impact that he had. Now, whether it is an accumulation of not doing pre-seasons, which he hasn't done the past 2 years
At
at
the
all,
back, didn't he?
and
Yeah.
again it happened this year as well. So, yeah, and then Chera went down in the game again with a soft tissue, but they've almost had to get to where they've got to this point of the season without him. Richmond, again, just continuing the themes of the negatives, Bill. 2 wins, 18 losses. There's more pain ahead for this footy club still coming. So they're going to go from a premiership in 2020 to a wooden spoon, as it sits right now anyway, as few as 4 years later. It doesn't happen.
They were going to win. They were going all right.
They
weren't
were. They started really well.
And then blew up.
And then you've got the Gold Coast talkers, as I call them, Bill. They just talk about
the Gold
next
Coast
year.
talkers.
They just talk. They'll talk about next year pretty soon. That next year will be good.
It was a
Trust
away
me.
game. They can't win away.
Oh, they played West Coast, and again they had done
0-10
enough to
on the
win.
road.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
0-10.
Yep, that's this year,
Yeah.
and didn't I think one last year either on the road.
Big
So
boy pants.
I think they need to
Grow up.
and grow. Up as the coach said. And Securda after a nice little 4-week patch was okay for a while, but 85-point losers to Brisbane Lions, and then we discussed this game on the Saturday Rub on Saturday after what happened on Friday night, where Western Bulldogs just absolutely belted Melbourne, and they've got a lot of question marks. I feel too, a bit like Richmond, just in how they set up for next year because they can't go into another season without a key forward.
No, Port Adelaide this week too is a big game for them. All right, a little break.
Yeah,
And then
positives next.
Positive.
Harry Mackay and Stephen Kernahan, but a very positive.
Positive.
Damien
Oh,
Barrett
yes.
has stuck around.
I like it.
Got to get positive now. This is the wildest, craziest, most open season of the AFL era, Bill.
Well, the premiership market, as of today, Brisbane $3.50 favourites, new favourites.
Now, you would have been laughed out of town when they were 3 and 5.
Yep.
If someone said to you they were going to be favourites with 3 rounds to go.
Sydney, after what, round, say, 15, when they'd lost about one game,
They were 13 and 1 at one stage.
Yeah.
So that'd be right. Yep.
they're
with the
out
bye.
to $5.50.
Yeah.
Western Bulldogs are into $6, third favourite.
Yep.
And they're sitting 7th.
And then Carlton, $9.
Wow. Amazing.
And what that then I think highlights is the coaches that continually and constantly try to get their teams into these finals positions every single year. And I'm referring mainly to Chris Scott here because this Geelong Footy Club on paper and with what's happened to it and injuries that they've had and how it looks and coming off a shock grand final win 2 years ago, no finals last year. Here they are again at this pointy end of a season giving themselves a chance. Now, what happens from here, who knows? But there's other clubs who are not going to make it. And he has got them in there. And I feel, Bill, and it's a hard one for the club to, I think, get its head around, but they've become better in season since Tom Hawkins went down.
More avenues to go.
And Jeremy Cameron has, I think, re-emerged as the key to what they're about. He was on the weekend against Adelaide. Now, he kicked 6, including the match winner. He looked dangerous pretty much the entire game, and they might have a decision to make, Bill, when they...
So Hawk might come back round 24, home game, West
Have you
Coast
got any
Eagles.
intel on that recovery?
Well, he reckons he's going
Does he?
beautifully, yeah.
Yeah.
And he's aiming for that round. That will be interesting.
Well, that will be interesting, won't it? So anyway,
Come on.
he's got him there. So too was Kenny Hinkley, who had his own supporters pathetically 6 weeks ago booing him after a bad loss at home to the Brisbane Lions. But that actual result doesn't look as bad as maybe it did at the time, given what the Lions have done to other clubs since. So The way they've, I think, also negotiated their way through not having Todd Marshall for a few weeks or a couple of weeks now and being forced to put Asava Radaglia for, they've looked better with that combination build. Mitch Georgiades, who's come off the knee Rico, putting together a really nice season.
Going well.
Really nice season. Always had talent, then had the knee and then missed the early rounds
Horn
this year.
Francis?
Horn Francis was
Good
great again.
player.
Willem Drew has emerged not just the stop and run with player anymore, Jim. He's a genuine bona fide class midfielder and has had a really good season. And yeah, again, they've given themselves a chance in an open season, as have the Western Bulldogs with their past month.
Yeah.
And they've had a massive 4 weeks in order: Melbourne, Sydney, Geelong and Carlton. And working backwards on those 4 weeks. And it's all just sitting nicely for them now. So
the Bont. Who wins the Brownlow? Well, because Cripper would have got votes.
Yeah, I think he would have to get
And
votes,
the
even in a losing team.
And the Bont would have got
Surely
votes.
it's the Bont. Surely.
It's his time.
Well, as we know, 2021 he got 33 votes and Ollie Wines got 36, and I felt that was the year he should have won. And again, that's not to take anything away from Ollie Wines.
Having said that,
and equally,
Adam Treloar might take some
Yes.
votes. He's had an
yeah,
unbelievable
he might,
season.
and he was good again, wasn't he, on
bloody
Friday
oath he
night
was.
against Melbourne. So, and then last year, as we know too, where Lachie Neale in the last round got the votes that he wanted,
And he got the
needed to-
votes on the weekend, I think.
Yeah, he was solid again.
got the coaches' votes.
He was solid again. GWS, we talked about Hawthorn's situation in that match before, but GWS, now we talk about teams on a surge, and you've got the Brisbane Lions with 9, you've got the Bulldogs with 4, and then you've got the GWS team with 5, Jim.
5 in a row,
to pull back that 28-point deficit they had at three-quarter time, nothing much had worked, and they just continually tried something different, and Brent Daniels was crucial to it. Prior to that, and inclusive of the last quarter, Jesse Hogan's form. Now, 5 weeks in a row now, he's kicked 4 or more, and that's a really good return for him, Bill, because Charlie Curnow went goalless for the first time in 66 matches, and Jesse finished the round on top in the Coleman race.
Good on him.
With 59.
If he wins that, that's a great
He's
effort.
moving beautifully too.
Yeah.
When you watch
Clunking
him
him.
playing, he's in as good a physical nick as I've seen.
Yeah, he's just match hardened, isn't he now? And even up until the start of this year, you would have said that about him, but he's absolutely got everything going for him. The two Greens were really good too. Toby forced his way into the game just through willpower, and Tom Green kicked the match-winning goal as it was at the end. Got to give some love to Collingwood and specifically Scott Pendlebury, who not just had the celebrations attached to the 400th appearance, but then, most importantly, went and played well.
As he did,
yeah, and that's what he does.
6 votes.
He got 60 out of the
Cripper got
coaches.
9
Yeah.
coaches, and Pendles got 6.
Yeah,
Nick Dacos, by the way,
Nick
got
Dacos
5.
was fantastic, and Darcy Moore's fixed up a few of his problems down back. He had a rough patch like his team did, but again, he's just contributing, Bill, in a way that has had them winning 2 in a row now, just to breathe some life potentially back into their season. And then Friday night, we're going to know by Friday night, come 10 o'clock-ish, if they're going to be talked about as a potential finalist, because they've got the Swans at the SCG.
Another big game for round 22.
We'll give Essendon some love. They needed to have it. Zach Merritt
well done.
wasn't his best game, but I thought he was there when he needed to. But particularly in that last play. I mean, you called it, Jim, when he handballed to Sam Durham, who then had the match-winning point, and that was beautiful. Middle of the ground work, wasn't it? At a time when there was 36 seconds left and scores were level. So they did what they needed to do. The edge was there all game. It just now needs to stay there, doesn't it? So that's the challenge for the Bombers.
No, they were very good.
Yes.
Late, they were amazing. The last 10 minutes was amazing.
Jai Caldwell got the 10 votes.
Yeah, he was fantastic, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah, and really played well. Stringer with 4 goals. There's not many times they win without him playing well. And obviously when they don't, he does go missing as well. But I think he's had a pretty good year when it's all said and done, and he is out of contract. Quick bit of love for Brisbane Lions, 85-point win, and just continuing their surge. And
What happened to the Saints?
yeah, they had their
They were going
first
all right.
bad game for
Yeah.
5 weeks, and
Righto.
that can happen. But they were just blown away by a far better team. North Melbourne deserves some
well
love
done.
too. I do regularly criticise them, but they did only beat the team
You know,
below them on the ladder, the Richmond, but
They've
they
got the
did.
All-Australian ruckman. Tristan Cherry.
He actually might be.
He
you know,
could
'cause
be.
The rest of them have
That's
fallen
not-
over a bit.
Exactly.
Yeah, I still feel Maxi Gorner's just in front, and if it's not Maxi, it might even be Big O from the Lions, Big Oscar McInerney, and whether you line that up against a team that is now second on the ladder against one that is second last, but you can't knock what Tristan Cherry's done,
No.
to your point. Yeah.
And he hasn't cracked, hasn't
yeah,
he?
absolutely.
2 bits of news.
Yes.
Who's ruled themselves out of the West Coast Eagles job?
Jamie Graham.
And?
I think he had already done that.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
So who's left? Anyone left?
Well, Ash Hansen's name is one that's going to be really prominent, Bill, the whole way through. And just on North Melbourne, Georgie Wardlaw has going to miss another week for the concussion protocol. So he injured on the training track with a concussion around 16, 17. This last week missing, and this upcoming week will be another 2 weeks where he's missed with concussion. And it
Are you hearing
probably makes
anything
Elliot-
about Tommy Mitchell? I've just heard something.
with his foot.
Yeah, and maybe he had his appendix out last couple of days.
Yeah, I think he posted that himself on
right.
social media. I think, Ramsey, some
Posted
weeks
it
ago.
himself.
Yeah, he's ruled himself out for
on
the rest of
North,
the year.
Luke Davies-Uniacke, I keep
Yeah.
talking about this bloke. If he was playing for Brisbane or GWS or the Cats,
Yep.
he would be in All-Australian discussions regularly. But because he's playing for the second worst team in the comp,
Yep.
he gets overlooked. His game on the weekend was as good as complete a midfield performance
3 goals.
as you will see.
Yeah. Now, you watch this game and this club very closely. Do you feel he's had a better year than Harry Sheasel from a best and
Probably,
fairest perspective?
yeah, I would say.
Yeah.
I think I love the Shees, don't get me wrong, but
Yep.
I think his impact on game is ridiculous.
Yep.
He was extraordinary on the weekend.
Yep. He's been a slow burn, hasn't he, from that high draft pick that he was to get to this level
Yep.
of consistency.
But his last 2
his
years-
last 2 years are there.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's-
I
and his
felt he should
body's-
have. I felt he should have won that that second year where Jai Simpkin won the best and
Yeah.
fairest 2 years in a row. I felt the second of those 2 years
Yeah,
he
just
should have
missed
won
a
it.
bit of footy. That
He
was
missed a
probably
bit
what
late.
cost
Yeah.
him, but,
Yeah.
all right, Purple. I like that.
Well
Well
done.
done.
How's the car?
We went and saw Jim's man, and
Good.
hopefully
He'll
it's been
sort it
taken
for
care
you.
of. Yeah.
So did I.
He'll sort it.
Yes, he
Oh,
told me you were
oh,
down there.
not me too.